Hi, my name is Ingrid, and today I'm going to show you how to make this crochet bag. I think this is a great beginner project because you don't need to worry about sizing or anything. You just do exactly what I do, and all the bags should turn out the same size, and you don't have to worry about whether or not it fits your body. It's also great because you can use any yarn. I would recommend using not too thick. I'll specify what yarn I used and what yarn I think you should use later in the video, but it doesn't really matter. Just whatever yarn you think will look good, you can use. So whatever you have laying around, anything like that. So it's also great because these squares, they're all the same. So it's super repetitive. So once you know how to do one of the squares, you can just do that over and over again and your bag is pretty much finished. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I'll probably respond if it's within a month. I'll definitely respond. If not, maybe not, because I'll have moved on to other things. So yeah, hope you find the video helpful.
Okay, so you can use any yarn that you want. I ended up using 2 different types of yarn, but you need 400 yards in total, and you should probably do it like a medium weight yarn, nothing too small or too chunky. So I'm using a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. You can use whatever you like. I recommend use it according to your yarn size. And I'm just doing my slip knot, and then I'm gonna chain 5. Okay, so I'm gonna skip the first stitch like you do, and I'm gonna do a single crochet stitch for the rest of the row. So you should have 4 single crochet stitches. Okay, so I'm just gonna chain 1 again and turn my work around, and then I'm gonna do 2 more rows of single crochet stitches. Okay, so after those 3 rows total, I'm going to chain 1, turn my work around, and I'm just going to do 2 single crochet stitches. So just 2, like that. And then I'm going to flip my work around, yarn over, then flip my work around, and I'm going to count 2 rows up, and I'm going to stick my needle through that loop right in the middle, and I'm going to pull my yarn through. And then this is going to be double crochet, so I'm going to yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through the next 2. And then I'm going to continue on 2 more single crochet stitches. And then I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work around, and I'm going to do 4 single crochet stitches just like before. It's a little confusing because there looks like there's a 5th stitch there, but that's not a stitch. Don't put a stitch there. You're going to increase your stitches. You want to just have 4. So 1, 2, skip that weird bump thing, and 2 more single crochet stitches. And then I'm going to chain 1 again, turn my work around, and do 1 more row of my single crochet stitches. Again, you should have 4 stitches. And then I'm going to turn my work around again. And again, I'm only going to do 2 single crochet stitches. So 1, 2, and then again I'm gonna wrap the yarn around my hook and go through that weird bump lump thing that we did earlier, that weird stitch thing we did earlier, and then I'm gonna do my double crochet, and then I'm gonna go back to the top and continue with those 2 stitches. It might be a little tricky, but you can make it work. And then I'm gonna chain 1 again and do the 2 rows of single crochet, 4 stitches only. And I'm gonna keep doing that.
Don't even try. You're just like a butterfly. Your eyes will always catch my eye.
Okay, so you're gonna do that 3 more times, and then you're gonna have 5 of these weird double crochet things in total, and then you're gonna do 2 single crochet rows like before, so it looks just like this. And then we're gonna actually cut the yarn. You're gonna don't do a chain 1. Just on your last stitch, cut your yarn and loop it through the stitch, just like that, and then pull tight so it makes this kind of knot thing, and then it should look like this. And so you're gonna take sort of, they're not actual stitches, but they look like stitches. So you're gonna take your crochet hook and put it through the top. Okay, so you're going to take your yarn and you're going to wrap it around your hook. Just like this, pull through, and then you're going to find the next sort of stitch. Make sure to keep the end of it tight so it doesn't come out, and do your single crochet, and then do another single crochet, and then we're going to wrap the yarn around like before, and we're going to go through that weird loop thing that we did before. So you're going to wrap the yarn around and go through, go over and then under, I guess, that weird hook loop thing we did before, and pull through, and then you're going to wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through 2, and then we're going to find the next sort of stitch, the one, whatever's directly behind that, and do your single crochet, and then we are going to do 5 more single crochets on this weird loop, the weird top part. There's going to be 17 stitches in total, so keep that in mind when you're spacing them out. But for now we're just going to do 4 more. I know I just said 5, but it's 5 in total after the first 2, so. And then I'm going to do 1 more. And then after this, I'm going to chain 7. Make sure not to make these too tight. Okay, so once you've chained 7, you're going to skip the first 2 chains, the ones that are right next to your hook. Skip those first 2, go into the third one down, and you're going to do 5 slip stitches. So just pull through and then pull through the other one. They're not stitches, they're just slip stitches. And you're going to do 5 of these along the side, just like this. I'm borrowing, or I'm using this pattern of the heart from a website that I found, or I think it's a blog, so I'll put it in the description. So if a written description is easier for you, like a written pattern, than watching me show you how to do this heart, I would recommend clicking on that. Then I'm going to chain 1 and turn it around, and then you're going to skip the first stitch, and in the second stitch you're just going to stick your needle through. Make sure to stick through both loops because it's a stitch. Sorry, I guess I did mine a little tight, but and you're going to do a single crochet stitch. So just pull the yarn through and wrap around, pull through 2. And then the next one you're going to wrap around first and go into the second stitch. And this is a double crochet stitch. So you're going to wrap the yarn around, pull through, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through the last 2. And now we're going to do wrap around twice because this is going to be a triple crochet into the next hole here, next stitch, sorry. Sorry, it cuts out. So, and then you're going to wrap the yarn around, pull through, wrap it around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through the last 2, like this. And now in the last stitch you're going to do the same thing, a triple crochet stitch. They might be a little bit tight. You can always make your stitches looser. Obviously I didn't, that was a mistake. But I'm just using a knitting needle to kind of pick them up. Sorry, it's not in shot. But as you can see, it kind of just made it easier for me to go through, especially that second loop. Okay, and now I'm going to wrap the yarn around again, pull through, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through the last 2. And now I'm going to do that 4 more times in the same stitch. So it's actually a lot easier once you do the first stitch because it kind of makes room or whatever. But so you're going to do 4 triple crochet stitches in the same stitch. I already did 2, excuse me, so I just need to do 2 more. Once I've done 4 in the same stitch, I'm going to chain 4. And I'm pulling these pretty tight because I don't want it to be a very big chain 4, if that makes sense. But I'm just pulling these chains nice and tight. And then we go into the same stitch as before, and instead of triple crochet, I'm just doing a slip knot. Like that. And I'm going to pull nice and tight. And then I'm going to chain 4 more. Again, relatively tight. I think it just looks better. So I'm chaining 4. And I am going to go into the same stitch as before, the same one that we already did the 4 triple crochets, and I'm doing 4 more triple crochets. Just like that.
chasing one another, getting lost in another summer. Never wanted it to end. Now I'm losing all my friends. I'm reminded of the pain when I'm on the interstate.
Once I have 4 triple crochets in that, I'm going to wrap the yarn around twice, and I'm going to do a triple crochet in the next stitch. So 1 stitch down, I'm doing a triple crochet. Then I'm going to wrap the yarn around once, and I'm going to do a double crochet in the next stitch down. And then I'm going to do a single crochet in the last stitch. And lastly, I'm going to do a slip stitch in the next one down. It's not really a stitch, but kind of the loop that connects it. Okay, and then I'm gonna flip my yarn so it's so it's kind of all the right way around, like it should be. And you can see your heart looks like this, or should look like this. And I am going to make a stitch in kind of in the same place. So you don't want to add a stitch, but I'm not really going in the bottom. I'm kind of just going in the middle of the stitch because that makes it sit nice and straight. And then I'm going to keep going with the rest of the row. So I'm doing 4 single crochet stitches in the rest of this row or whatever.
Chasing one another, getting lost in another summer. Never wanted it to end. Now I'm losing all my friends. I'm reminded of the pain when I'm on the interstate, me and the moon, and we think of you.
Once I've done 4, I'm going to wrap the yarn around, and I'm going to go just like I did before, into there, pull through, wrap the yarn around, pull through 2, wrap the yarn around, pull through the next 2. And then in the stitch that's behind this, I guess, you're gonna do a single crochet, and then I'm gonna do 2 more single crochets. It should look like this. So the heart's a little weird because it's floating in the middle of nowhere, but once we kind of tack it down, it'll look better. Okay, so we're gonna chain 1, flip your work around, and you're gonna continue down the rest of the row your single crochet stitch. Okay, so once I'm near the heart, I'm going to go through that kind of spine in the back and go through the stitch directly below it, and then I'm going to pull the yarn through those 3, and so it should be 1 stitch in total, even though you're going through 3 loops, because one of the loops is where you connect to the sort of spine. And then I'm just going to keep going down. And you're going to keep doing this. On the next row, you do the same thing, but I'll show you that. Okay, so I already did the rest of the last row and half of this row, and now I am on the next row, obviously, and we're going to tack to the heart again. So same thing, you're going to go through the spine and go through the next stitch, and then you shouldn't have a knot on your yarn. I just have it because I've messed up many times, but you're just going to pull through all 3 of those at once, and then you're going to keep going. This is the last place you're going to tack the heart onto the rest of the fabric until you get to the top. So the next the rows should be just regular, and I'll show you where you tack the heart on the top. Okay, so once you've done the rows, when you're nearly at the top, you're gonna continue like you normally did, and then instead of looping where the spine is, you're gonna find one of those random loops, one of the ones where you did the triple crochets, I think. And I'm using a knitting needle to like pull it out easier. If you don't have a knitting needle, you can probably use like a pencil or something like that, or you can just use your fingers. It's just sometimes a little tricky to grab. And obviously it's not in the middle, it's on one side, but make sure you line up the part that you are attaching with the stitch that's like directly behind it, so it's not slanted or anything. And then you're just going to keep going, and that's the last tacking place you're going to do for the heart. Okay, so once you've crocheted 11 rows in total, you are going to finish with that for now, and you can either cut the yarn or use the other end of the yarn, whatever, but you're going to start something new. I'm going to do my slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 4. And I'm going to skip the first chain and do a single crochet in the second one and continue with the other 2 stitches for the rest of the row. So you should have 3 stitches in total. And I'm basically going to do exactly the same thing I did the first time, just instead of, it's 3 stitches wide. That's the only difference. So I'm just doing my single crochets. So once you've crocheted 3 rows total on your 4th row, 3 rows total, 4 I guess if you count the original chain 3 or 4, whatever that you did. You can do the same thing as before. You're going to crochet 1 single crochet stitch, you're going to wrap the yarn around your hook, and you're going to, sorry for the music, and you're going to go 2 up from the bottom and wrap your hook through that bottom and continue with your single crochet. And you're going to keep doing this exactly like you did before for the rest of the row. This pattern.
But I'd be watched and I'd be warm. I couldn't go to bed.
So once you've done 5 of those loop things and have 15 rows in total, you're going to be done, and obviously you're going to finish with 2 single crochet rows, and you're just going to hold it up faces together. So you want them to both be inside out. You want the faces to be touching each other, and you are going to, I'm just doing that, so I'm attaching it at one end so it holds it in place, and then when I start on the other end, I still have that loop that I didn't end up cutting. If you want to cut your yarn and then just like get new yarn, that's fine too. Just keep in mind there's going to be a lot of ends. So you're just going to crochet the 2 pieces together. Single crochet. And I like to pull nice and tight because it makes the yarn less visible. So after every stitch, I pull. Just like that.
disappear. And the sun is so deceiving, and I'm so used to you leaving in the night. But it'll be alright, it'll be alright.
Once you're near the end, you're going to do the last stitch, pull through, and then I like to just cut the yarn and just pull it through the hoop with your hook, just like that. And then you're done attaching them, and so it should look like this. And now what you're going to do is you're going to connect the lines on the side with the line on the top. And to do that, we're going to go into the hole that's right above the line on the top, on the end of it. So you're going to go in on the front and pull the yarn through from the back. Make sure you have a decent amount of yarn in your hand so it doesn't slip through your fingers, because it's not attached to anything, you just have to hold it. And you're going to pull it through like that and hold it with your fingers, wrap it around twice and connect to the line on the bottom, pull through, wrap around, pull through two, wrap around, pull through two. Exactly like before, but instead then you're going to pull the yarn all the way through and go to the back and take that yarn and pull it through so it's on the other side. Just like that. And to make sure this is nice and snug, you're going to pull it as tight as you can without making the square collapse in on itself, obviously. And you're going to cut it with a bit of a tail. So, and then what I like to do is go through the ridge that you just made and pull one of the yarn ends through, just like that, and just tie it. And once you're done tying it, you could cut it close to the end, or you can weave it in using a needle, or you can cut it at the very end when you've sewn the whole bag together. That's what I did. So just like that, and you can do exactly the same thing on the other side. Okay, so you're done with that square, and you need to do 12 of these in total, 6 on each side. I would recommend doing 6 on one side, doing something else such as the top parts or the strap, and then doing another 6, otherwise you might get kind of tired of it. Okay, so I have my slip knot, and I'm going to chain 6, and this is going to be for the ribbing at the top of the bag. So I'm just chaining 6, and I'm going to skip the first one and do a single crochet for the rest of the row. So you should have 5 single crochet stitches. Okay, and now you've done your 5 stitches. I'm kind of pulling the end to make it a little bit tighter. And you're going to do your chain 1, flip it around, and for the ribbing, you're only going to go into the back of the stitches. So you're going to do regular single crochet stitches, but only in the back of the stitches. I'm not going through the 2 loops, I'm just going through the one in the back. Just like that. And in the beginning, you're going to think, oh, it's really not stretchy at all. But once you do many rows of this, it'll get a lot stretchier. And also the last stitch is sometimes a little tricky to do. Again, you can always use a pencil or knitting needle to make it easier for yourself. You're going to do 44 of these rows in total. So this is the shoulder strap. So you're obviously going to make a slip knot, and then I chained on 200 stitches. I'm pretty tall, I'm 5'8". If you want your bag to be shorter, or you're significantly shorter and you want it to sit at the same place, I would recommend making your strap shorter, smaller, so cast on less stitches. Once you've cast on your 200, or however long you want your bag strap to be, you're just going to do regular single crochet stitches the entire time. And I did 7 rows. If you want your strap to be bigger or smaller, you know, do more or less rows depending on what you want. So this is what the finished ribbing looks like, and here I have 6 finished squares, and I'm going to stitch them all together now. And obviously you need 12 in total, so this is just one side. So I'm going to start with 2 of these squares. I recommend organizing them so that the ones you like better are on top, because they're going to be more visible when you have the bag on. But in theory they should all look the same. So I'm going to do 2, and I'm going to make sure that the hearts are facing each other inside out. So you want to press the hearts together and line up the 2 squares. And there's a bunch of these little strings, right, that we can cut off later. But for now, we can use them to tie the squares together at one end while we work on the other end, so that we can make sure it's really nice and even. So I'm just going to tie these 2 together. Again, making sure that you're working with the hearts facing each other. So you want the outside showing. So now it's nicely tied together. Make sure the bottom's all lined up. And you're going to take your crochet hook. And I'm using my blue yarn. Obviously you can use whatever yarn color you want. Mostly just using blue because I ran out of the green. But I would recommend doing this with the same color as the squares are, so that it's very invisible. For this, you can see the blue through it slightly, so I think it would look better in green, but again, I ran out of the green yarn. So you're just going to stick your knitting needle through the end of the squares, pull the yarn through, and again, this is exactly what we did previously, attaching the main body of the squares with the top bit. And I'm going to pull nice and tight, and you're just going to crochet a single crochet stitch along the top of this, and making sure to pull tight so that the yarn peeks through as little as possible.
Watch me as I fall into the sky. I'm feeling tears, but I didn't wanna cry. Even the bright stars.
And when you get to near the end part where there's a lot of strings, it might be easier to go through the pieces individually, like I just did there. So
your eyes will always catch
And once you get to the end, I'm just gonna snip the yarn and pull it through to form like a knot.
We're chasing one another, getting lost in another summer. Never wanted it to end. Now I'm losing all my friends.
And there you have it. You have 2 stitched together, just like that.
And we think of you when you're not here. I disappear.
And I'm going to take another one and I'm going to stitch it. Remember the hearts facing each other, just like that, the same as I did before. And then I'm going to do that all again. So I'm going to have 2 sets of 3 stitched together. Once I have 2 sets of the 3 stitched together, I'm going to line them up, the hearts facing each other, making sure that the hearts are the right way up. And I'm just going to tie some of the edges together. And I'm double checking like many times to make sure that the hearts are the correct way up, because I have, sewn stuff together and being like, oops, that's upside down. So that's just a pain because then you have to undo it and redo it. So just make sure, double check that everything's the right way around and nothing's inside out. And I'm just going to tie these 2 bits together. And this isn't necessary, make sure everything will stay put and you won't be like making things slanted or diagonal. And you're just going to sew it together using your crochet hook, single crochet stitch, exactly like you did before. Then you're going to take your ribbing and you're going to kind of stretch it out and line it up. Make sure, again, the ribbing doesn't have a back and a front, but the heart main part does. So make sure that the hearts are facing the ribbing. And you're going to sew it along like you did before, and so it should look like this. For the bottom part of the bag, you're going to obviously do a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 48 stitches. So exactly like before, you're chaining 48 stitches, and then you're going to do 7 rows of single crochet stitches. When you're done, it should look like this, and we're going to attach it to the other one of the heart main body pieces things we have. So again, the heart should be facing in. The bottom bit doesn't have any sides, so it doesn't really matter. And you're going to sew it together using a crochet hook like before, single crochet stitches. Once it's done, it should look like this, and you're going to take your other piece of hearts and you're going to put them, this time the hearts here, I'm positioning them so they're facing the desk, and you're just going to match them together like that. So the heart should be facing in again, and you're going to sew along or crochet along that line, exactly like that. Once you've sewn it together, it should look like this, kind of making one huge piece. And you're going to take your strap and you're going to kind of line it up with that. And that's the first thing you're going to stitch together. You're going to crochet along there, and then you're going to place it along, making sure that the hearts are facing in again. You're going to crochet all the way up here like this, and then on the other side too. And then you're going to, it's going to snake around to the other side, and you can do the same thing on the other side. I'm really sorry, I didn't, for some reason, the video of me actually crocheting what I'm talking about, it like deleted. I don't think it's saved. I think my phone ran out of storage. But it's more intimidating than it looks. Just start by lining the strap from the bottom, the blue parts together, and then crochet up the sides. And then once you're done sewing on the straps, you're technically done. But you have a ton of strings probably. So what I would do is just tie them together, find another string that's close by, and tie it together, and then just snip it off close to the bottom. Most of the strings, you should tie them tight enough. If there's one string that's completely by itself, not near anything, you can split it in half and tie it with itself, basically. You can also sew in the ends if you want to do that. There's a lot of strings, so that's a lot of work. Okay, so this is the finished bag. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments.